Hello and welcome. This video is going to be about small techniques and details you can use to win over in the BVR fight as I killed this guy at 5 miles here. This isn't really the topic of the video. Topic of the video comes up in about, I don't know, 2 minutes. But really I wanted to make this to show people how just using little bits of information like the opponent's plane type and their current maneuvering state can net you a kill if you learn how to properly take advantage of such information. Here we have a guy at, 7 miles, observing and waiting for his launch. I'm fine here. I have a lot of altitude. I'm going to lead his missile into the ground as we're going to come back from around, 50,000 feet at around Mach 1.2 on the deck, 730 knots. And we're going to do kind of an arcing pattern downward in our split S that causes his missile to go to the ground. Again, these two people are really meaningless to the point of this video. What we're here to show is this guy here. I see him coming in on my radar scope now, and we've caught him about here. There he is. He's at 20 miles. Now, he's locking me, and I can tell he's locking me because if you look at my helmet there, my line of sight and his position on my helmet line up, so I know it's the same guy, and I know he's a Hornet. I know this means he's a lot slower, so I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to climb here around 23k. I'm going to wait for his launch, and I'm not going to launch back because I know this guy's just gotten from his airfield. He has a full load of missiles. I don't want to get into a missile trading fight with him. I'm going to let him launch, and I'm going to be completely safe because I know he's a Hornet, and I know he's launching missiles a lot slower than I would, and therefore it gives me a lot of breathing room to be able to lead his missile into the ground, just as I did with the other guy, and recommit. We're exceeding the VNE a little bit here by around 20 knots, but we're back down. And his missile is off my RWR. I know it's in the ground. And now we're turning back. I get a bit lucky here because he actually shoots at a teammate of mine while I attempt to spot him here on the horizon. And once I do, my goal is to close the distance. When you're finding a good player like this, shooting at, 7, 8 miles isn't really going to net you much. They're just going to notch it, and they're going to recommit, and nothing really is going to happen. I want to try to close this gap into 5 miles here, as I'm doing here. We're going to give the missile a bit of a loft so it doesn't get grounded instantly. And I notice he's not shooting back at me. So let's pause the video here. At this point, we're at 3 miles. My missile will probably be notched, because he's in the notching position. And if you don't know what that is, I will put up a diagram here to show you what that is. But in effect, here we are, he's in a notch, and that means that he's not going to be able to shoot back, or at least it's very hard for him to. So I'm going to be closing the distance here and stop it here at around 3 miles. And I know I've got him in this position, and it's a defensive position. And what the notch allows you to do is it allows you to recommit faster. But this assumes that your opponent is also in a similar position. And now, instead of your opponent going cold, if you stay and you turn, if you stay in a notch and you turn hot, then you're going to turn hot a little faster than him, as he has to do a whole 180-degree turn, whereas you're only stuck in a 90-degree difference of angle. So at 3 miles here, I know he's in a notch because I see his plane of direction, and I'm going to attempt to do something called an off-bore shot, and I say attempt, but it's not really an attempt because I know what I'm doing. And I'm going to throw up another diagram here of what it's like to show what that exactly looks like. Taking a look at the updated flight path of the missile as we're about to fire it in a few seconds here, we can see how the opponent is going to be confused as to the missile's true position. Now, if we were firing it even at this range at the angle that had just come before us, which would be a 90-degree perpendicular angle to his aircraft, the same situation that happened with my last missile would reoccur. Now that I've decided to arc the missile in a peculiar way that would make its true position a bit unknown, the few seconds that are involved in the missile's time to travel, because we're at a range of 3 miles here, means that few seconds of confusion as to where the missile is will almost certainly kill him. This is really important, especially as notching becomes a little more mainstream and more people tend to be doing it. It's important to realize the ways that you can defeat it. This is one of them. keep in mind that this is not, in and of itself, an infallible strategy. If, say, I was firing at, 6 miles, he will have time to adjust. In fact, I'm about to show an example of me doing exactly that. More so, it's about forcing your opponent into the defensive, and while keeping him in the defensive, throwing at him the best you've got, and understanding that the close range that you're now in can be used to your advantage, as just a few seconds of hesitation and an inability to find yourself in the correct angle will get you killed, as we are about to see right now. So you can see how I put him at the edge of my gimbal, keep him there as I'm pressing, and of course that arc that I described in that diagram just became true.